Welcome to Mighty Married Moms. Join us at our kitchen table twice a week as the Mighty Married Moms, Debbie, Linda, Wendy, invite spectacular guests to weigh in on staying sexy, vibrant, and healthy, building marriages with soul-satisfying connection, raising happy, healthy, successful kids. Conversations with Mighty Married Moms will bring you closer to the life you really want. Episode 124. Today's show is brought to you by Deborah C. Owen, Family and Life Coach at YouCanRaiseGreatKids.com. If you are tired of worrying about the choices your kid is making, or tired of the stress of constantly arguing with your kids, or them arguing with each other, then don't wait until you are truly desperate. Get the help you and your family need and deserve today. Connect with your kids with calm compassion. Call Deborah Owen at 978-835-4354. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Mighty Married Moms. I'm Debbie Owen from YouCanRaiseGreatKids.com.
And I'm Linda Tighe from AllWellBreaksLoose.com.
And I'm Wendy Williams from ConnectAgain.org.
And we are really excited to have you with us today to get to the life that you always wanted. And we are also excited to introduce you to Rick Fiery, who is the co-founder and CEO of Inventive Labs in Amesbury, Massachusetts. He uses his past experiences in business and life to help young adults and adults that think and learn differently figure out their passions and turn those into a livelihood. Rick has created multiple startup companies that have grown to do business in over 60 countries. He also was the head of finance for a $330 million company, and he's a graduate of the University of Virginia and the Wharton School of Business. Rick, welcome. We're excited to have you today.
Welcome.
Great to be here.
Good. Why don't you just give us a really short, minute or so about how you got to doing what you're doing? It sounds like you have such an interesting background.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to do it in a minute because it's been a 30-year career, but I guess the best way to describe it is I started out in the software industry, started out actually originally as a civil engineer, and got a lot of experience in creating and building companies. And really about 2 years ago, Tom Bergeron and I, who's the co-founder with me of Inventive Labs, we're trying to figure out what our next startup idea was, and we both realized that we love startups. We loved everything to do with creating new businesses and creating new things. But we also, had family members that we had seen struggle with things like ADHD and dyslexia and some of the other learning differences that are out there. And when we were trying to come up with our idea of what was next, I guess I had that, the typical aha shower moment where we were just brainstorming ideas, and then I connected the two dots and said, there's a whole underserved population of really bright, intelligent people that have the ability to change companies and the world completely, but they're being sidelined because they may not be able to get through and get that college degree, or they may act differently in the workplace, and it just doesn't fit in. Yet we realize that in our past careers, these are the people that changed and transformed our companies. These are the out-of-the-box thinkers.
Wow. Yep.
These are the people that do things differently than the rest of the world, and guess what? They're the 1% that changes the world. And so the light bulb moment for me was, hey, what if we created a place where these young adults and adults could come figure out firstly what they're truly passionate about, and then give them the tools that they need to turn that passion into a livelihood. And we made that connection, and we looked, and as we looked under the covers, nobody else in the world is doing this.
Nobody else in the world. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's either a really good thing or a really bad thing.
Yeah, I know, right?
To me, it was obvious that it's a really good thing. I've just seen numerous cases where, these bright young adults and adults have just been sidelined, and nobody's listening in a lot of cases. So for us, our approach is we created a place where they can come figure it out, figure out what they're good at, fill in the gaps, because, there are issues that come with these challenges that they face, but fill in the gaps with people that can do the things they're not good at, but let them focus on what they're good at. Let them figure out what it takes to create a business or make money doing what they love, and then stand back and watch them go. That's the approach that we want to take.
I love this.
I mean, as you guys know, if you look at all the famous entrepreneurs, celebrities, sports stars, people, the name brand people that you've heard of, you don't hear of the guy that runs GM guy, or the guy that ran Chrysler, or Air Products in New Jersey doing compressed air. You hear about the Richard Bransons, all the famous sports stars. The list goes on and on. I'm not going to go into that because I'm sure people here are aware of those types of people. But that's what we saw. And we saw that giving them the platform in a different way of learning would give them the ability to take off and do what they want to do in their career and not answer to anybody else and not ever have to say, sorry, I didn't get that college degree. I'm running the business. You need one.
Yeah.
You're right. There's all these, names that we can come up with, Bill Gates, but all these people don't have college degrees.
Right.
So fascinating.
Well, they didn't see the need for college. And I think the other dynamic that's entered in here is the world has changed. Back when I was younger, you had to go to college to find the knowledge. That's where it was. The professors were there. The libraries were there. The books were there. The internet was not there.
Right.
And the world has changed. The educational system has not. Some will argue that it has, but still you have to do the PSAT, the SAT, you need good grades. And by the time you're 18, you need to have changed the world in order to get into college. Give me a break. By 18.
It's so true. I have teenagers right now. It's unbelievable what they have to go through to go to college.
It's window dressing.
For what? Yeah.
Right.
So the bar is getting higher and higher for all the, as Ned Hallowell, Dr. Ned Hallowell's on our advisory board, as he calls it, the attention surplus people out there can do that. But the ADHD, dyslexic, and other types of learning differences that are out there, they can't necessarily climb that ladder. So for us, the world has changed. The knowledge is available in different media, and they just need coaching and guidance on where they should be aiming and how they can go about creating a business and raising money for their idea. We always say great ideas bring money. People kind of get concerned about that. Well, how am I going to find the money? We'll come up with a great idea.
Right.
Money will find a great idea. So our whole approach is to take these young adults and adults, and we have all ages that come here, bring them in, let them figure out what they're truly passionate about, and then guide them along the way and educate them just enough about what they need to know in order to create what it is that they want to do in their lives. So that's our approach. It's longer than a minute, but
no, that was great.
It's great.
Yeah.
What I really love about that though is your comment that you're helping these people fill in the gaps for the things that they don't do so well, and help them focus on the things that they do well. And honestly, that's something that we should all be doing.
Totally.
I mean,
Absolutely.
we're hearing all the time about how you should strive to boost your weaknesses so that you can, do everything. And yet what I've heard more and more recently is actually you should really focus on your strengths and let other people handle those things that you don't like and you aren't very good at. And so what you're saying is the same kind of thing. It's just in a very specific environment.
Well, absolutely. Look at Richard Branson as an example. He doesn't know what a balance sheet is. He doesn't understand accounting, but he doesn't care. And the way we put it is, I hire the best and brightest people in the finance world. I put them in charge of finance, and I let them run it. So my postulation is that all these famous entrepreneurs, the reason they're successful is they fully delegate the stuff they don't want to do to the people that are going to do it. And if you're fully delegated, if I'm the finance guy and I've been fully delegated responsibility for it, I'm motivated to come into work every day as opposed to being micromanaged.
Right.
So different companies, the successful companies I think that are out there have been kind of born from this kind of ideology. And to me, the best managers of businesses are the ones that recognize their weaknesses and fully delegate to other people the things they're not good at. So that should apply to everybody. But it's even more critical for people with learning differences. Some of the folks we have here, they are never going to do accounting. We can't get them close to the book. But that's okay. For a small business, it costs you maybe $1,500 a year to do accounting. So these guys shouldn't be spending time cycling learning accounting because they're told they have to pass accounting 101 in order to get their business degree. They should learn just enough to ask the right questions. When the person's doing accounting, it's like, what's the profit look like, and know what profit means. They don't need to know how it was calculated. They just need to know the basics of it. So we focus very much on making sure that people are engaged in doing what they're really good at, and then hire the people that are there to do the things they're not good at, and the sum of the parts will be greater than them trying to do it all themselves.
That's so great. Do you have a really good story? Do you have a really good example?
Lots. Yeah, let me think of the best one for you. Probably Well, I guess there was a story that we just had in the Boston Business Journal, and one of our groups, a group of guys came here. They didn't know each other, and they have various challenges that they faced in their lives, but they all loved apps. And when they came in the door, they knew nothing about business, honestly, nothing. But they loved apps, and they could speak apps. They, one guy actually, we joked with him about it. He's downloaded 5,000 apps, and he's just dissected them and understands what makes them cool and what makes them not cool.
Right.
One of the other guys he's really into servers and server technology and hosting data. That's what he loves to do. Another guy is kind of interested in business but loves apps as well. And they were kind of circulating and trying to come up with what they were going to work on individually. They realized they clicked. And once they clicked, they also realized they had different skill sets. And they started brainstorming the ideas, and they came up with a really cool app idea. We can't say what it is yet.
Okay.
We think it's going to resonate with this community that we have right now, the Learning Differences community.
Wow.
And the name of their company, by the way, I think you're going to love this, is Hyperactive. With double P's.
That's good.
That's great.
They came together with their idea. We took them through the whole process of creating what is called a pitch deck, because their idea needed money. It was a great idea. It needed to find money. Mm-hmm. And we put together all the elements of what you need to do to explain to investors your business idea. And each slide tells a story. And each slide that you create really requires you to go in and understand fully that element of the business. So like your financial projections, you have to be able to defend them in front of investors. Your marketing strategy, your market size, is it a business worth investing in? What's the structure of your investment going to be? Is it a loan to the company? Is it ownership in the company? How does all that work? So we took them through the whole process and gave them, tasks and things to learn along the way. And they put together a whole pitch deck, went down to Washington, D.C., and presented to a group of angel investors that we put them in front of. And they raised nearly $100,000 from friends and family of people they knew. All these people that knew these are really bright kids that were going to do something great. They were just going to have to find a different way to do it. Their family members put in nearly $100,000, and the investors in D.C. put in $200,000. So they have nearly $300,000 to pursue their dream of creating this company.
That's fantastic.
And so now we're in the process of hiring the accounting firm to do their books, because they aren't going to be good at that.
Right.
They hired a development team because the idea is so good that they need to develop it really quickly. They were trying to learn how to code and do it themselves, but they realized that speed to market was more important than them spending 2 years learning it.
Yeah.
That's why they went for investment. So we kind of helped pull them through that whole process, and they started up 2 weeks ago. And they're actually based here in our incubator. We have kind of a program section of the company that we put people through. But when they're finished the program, they can stay in our incubator. So I'm kind of pointing. They're going to be over in that corner over there working independently. But then if they have questions, we're still here to answer their questions. So as they grow, and hopefully they're successful, they can move on from the nest, so to speak. We have another door right over there that you can't see that's a big red exit door. And we say beyond that door lies the real world. So you start on one side of our program, create your ideas, incubate it, maybe get it bigger to the point where it can really be something that's sustainable and supportive. And then you go out the big door to the real world and get your own office space and start really running your company.
That's fascinating.
That's so great.
So are you actually a school, or are you like outside of school hours, or how does
No. We did a lot of focus groups about this. So we talked to family members. We talked to potential inventives, which I think we'll talk about in a second. We call the people that attend here inventives, not attendees, not pupils. And when we did all the focus groups, everybody said this place needs to look so like not school.
Okay. Yeah.
Make it
Negative
look like
connotations, I bet.
all kinds of negative connotations. School was not a place where they thrived. And a place of suffering, and not a place of acceptance.
Makes it so clear.
Right. What they get here is acceptance for their differences. It's not judgment. Spinning in chairs is allowed. All kinds of stuff is allowed here and expected. People being late for meetings all the time is allowed. But discussed, okay, when you're late, this is what it means to you. This is what it means to the group. start thinking about the implications of these actions. But when they come here, that's what it's about. It's about acceptance, and it's not school. We take an approach of educating them about things they need to know when they're ready to learn about it and when it's relevant. Okay. So my favorite story was, we had an open house where after they had been here about a month or two brainstorming their ideas, we told them, okay, great. Now we're going to have all your family members and people come into the lab, and you're going to do a business presentation to them. You're going to stand up in front of the group and present your idea. They said, okay, that's cool, but wait a minute. What if somebody I know or if somebody I don't know looks at my idea and steals it? How do I protect my idea?
Good question.
Well, maybe now's a good time to talk about intellectual property law. Let's talk about patents and trademarks and copyrights and non-disclosure agreements.
Right.
We'll bring in an intellectual property lawyer, and we have all kinds of business mentors that have really just gravitated to the lab because they believe in our mission. We brought in an IP lawyer, and he came in and for 4 hours talked about all those things. And I thought, when that door opens and they come out, they're going to come out and say, oh my God, that was so boring. And instead they came out and said, that was awesome. And we were like, what? And this was early on in the program. And intellectual property law is awesome. And they said, no, it's just what we needed to learn.
At the right time.
Mm-hmm.
To the level of detail that we needed to learn it. We didn't need to learn everything about intellectual property law at the right time. And then we can actually go and use it immediately. Yeah. So when everybody started coming to this open house to present, they were like guarding the door, standing there with non-disclosure agreements and getting everybody to sign them and explaining to them why they were signing them and what it meant.
Awesome.
So imagine what would have happened if day one, hey, welcome to Inventive Labs. The first day we're going to cover intellectual property law. Everyone have a seat. And they'd never have come back.
No. So, I spent 12 years as a school library teacher, and we had the exact same thing, which is where you want to teach just in time, not just in case.
Yes. Yeah, when I took accounting, I learned everything there was. It was the fire hose in business school when I did my MBA, and it was every corner of accounting they covered. Yeah. And I've used 10% of it.
Sure, right. Sure.
Right, and it's so interesting because that's a cornerstone. I have a master's in adult learning, and that's a cornerstone of adult learning is just-in-time learning, and it's the way that we progress in life.
Right.
When we learn how to drive a car, we don't know anything typically that's going on under the hood, but I sure know how to turn in the snow and when to put my lights on and when to get my the oil replaced or whatever. It's just enough to drive safely, but it's not everything about cars.
Right.
So we do it often, but for some reason in school, in the education system, we forget what's reasonable.
Right.
For anything. You teach a child how to eat with a fork. You don't teach them the history of silversmithing or whatever. It's just so strange how we don't live in school the way we do. So I really appreciate what you're saying, that differentiation.
Well, and I think the education system, and people look at me funny when I use this analogy, but I kind of describe it as similar to gold mining. When you're gold mining, you take pay dirt and you put it through this processing plant and you put in all these different kinds of filters to catch different kinds of gold, with the idea being that at the end, when you put out the tailings, the waste from the plant, there's no gold left. I think we've got our dials all tuned wrong. And we're putting everybody through that same plant, but the types of people that we're talking about will just go right out the back into the tailings pile and be wasted. For us, we're trying to catch those people that don't fit through that normal sieve and give them a different way of becoming successful. So for us, seeing all these young adults out there, the unemployment rates are extremely high. Everyone's saying, oh, they're lazy or something like that. There's lots of kids that are back home that didn't make it through college feeling like losers because they didn't make it through. They're in the basement playing video games.
Right.
Parents are waking up every day wondering what they did wrong.
Right.
And my argument is they did nothing wrong. It's a different kind of person in the educational system and the workplace. It's not set up with a way to accept them.
Right.
So that's what our approach is to help them find that.
Rick,
Yes.
So what age do you normally have people coming? It sounds like, and you mentioned something about a gap year in our conversations prior to the interview too. I mean, if people want to know more about this, what can you tell us about it?
Well, firstly, the age group, to answer that, it's really any age. We had someone in our first team that was 42 that came.
Wow.
That had been through various jobs and was just not fitting in, was always the guy that had the better idea on how to do things, and people don't necessarily want to hear the better idea. They just want to come in and do their 8 hours and be done. So he had a difficult time because he was always seeing the right way to do things and other people couldn't see his vision. So there's different levels of people. We tend to have our sweet spot is in the 20s, early 20s.
Okay.
That tends to be the ones that have maybe made it off to college and didn't make it through, or they've made it through college and it's not what they expected when they got out. They're having a tough time getting a job and they aren't fitting in, because a lot of really bright people with learning differences can make it through college. Or it's some of the younger people that just said, I don't want to do college. And some people dig their heels in and say, college is not going to be for me. I don't want to go there. Okay. So it's really kind of all age groups. And, the way we bring people in is we look at what they give us, an application that kind of describes them, but it's very different than college. It's not, we don't want to see what they're good at. We want to see what they've struggled with. And that's what we want to focus in on and make sure that if they were to come here, we could truly help them. So we put them through an application process that's heavy on interviews, light on writing, and we make sure that the lab is a match for them. So that's all kind of described. It's on our website at inventivelabs.org. So it's INVENTIVELABS, all one word.
InventiveLabs.com?
.org.
.org. Yeah, and if you Google Rick Fiery, that's the beauty of my last name. I can't hide. It's the I think I'm the only one in the world with that name. So you'll find it that way as well.
Right. Do the students pay tuition?
Yes.
Not students, the inventives. Do they pay tuition?
They pay a program fee.
Not tuition. Right.
Right. So what's different about our program is when they come here, our mission is for them to make money. That's what we want them to be doing, either during the program or by the time they leave the program, they can be making money. So unlike college, where you come and you attend and then you get a certificate from which hopefully you will go get money, our mission is for them to make money. So we've broken the program into, after the first year, we had a 1-year full block program, and we realized that after 6 months, people kind of split off and go on their own paths. So we have broken it into 2 blocks. There's a 6-month program where it's $11,750 for the 6 months. But what's different about us is we're 365 days a year, 7 days a week. Come here 10, 12 hours a day, and then Tom and I are here as mentors, and other mentors are here for them to just talk to and ask questions, and then we lead sessions, and it's very engaging. It's like coming to work as opposed to going to college, where you go to 2 classes a day and then you go home and study on your own. Right. You're here all day. And
so your primary goal is to help people launch their career, launch their path, where they're going. And Debbie had just mentioned a gap year. Is there room for a gap year for students? Or not students, but kids who've just graduated from high school, for example, who are, I don't know about college, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, I don't know. And there's the gap year is becoming a much more popular thing to do, because kids, I have a 17-year-old, he's going to be graduating from school this year, and he has no idea what he wants to do. And the gap year would be great. So would this program be something, would there be something for him?
Yeah, so I did my gap year in college by doing an extra year. And as back then, it wasn't that big a deal. But today, if you do an extra year, it can be $60,000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we say, and parents have come back to us and said, look, college is a really expensive place to figure out what you want to do.
Yeah.
And when you're 17 or 18, in a lot of cases, you go and do what the guidance counselor tells you to do. The guidance counselor in my high school said, oh, you're good in math and science, go be an engineer. So that's what I did. I didn't know any difference at the time. So a lot of parents have come back and said, especially for this population, they aren't quite ready for the whole college experience of being away from home. Maturity levels are different. They have different interests and different focuses. Can you guys please do a gap year? So after a year, we looked back and said, we think we've learned enough now. And we've learned enough about how to create a program that could work for somebody in a gap year. And it's really about, what I have behind me here, if you can see it, is these are sticky notes where people kind of group their passions together, and we take them through an exercise on things they love, Just as importantly, things they hate. Sometimes things you hate creates opportunities to solve problems.
That's right.
So we take them through a whole session of passion building exercises, and then from that, then they go and explore those things. So parents have come back to us and said, hey, an amazing gap year would be you guys working with my son or my daughter and take them through a process of discovering what truly excites them and then what their skill sets are, and then have them experiment and maybe try to create a business. So for us, Kickstarter, I don't know if you're familiar with Kickstarter. It's a great way of kind of testing your idea, but it also forces you through creating a business plan. Like it or not, it makes you create a business plan on how you're going to sell it, what your marketing messages is, what your product idea is, how much it's going to cost, and then how you're going to deliver it. I mean, all the things that you would need to do if you're going to create a company, Kickstarter forces you to do that. So our idea for a gap year now is to bring people in starting in September, from September to May next year. We haven't finalized the details of it yet, but that'll be going live on our website soon.
Okay.
And give them the ability to really figure out what floats their boat. And if they've gotten into college, sometimes a lot of colleges now let you defer.
Right.
Yeah.
But you also have the opportunity at that point to maybe reapply and go to a different college. I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make is going to the wrong college.
Yeah.
You go down to the technical school and you realize that you want to be a graphic novelist. Like one of our guys here, he was in a very technical engineering degree. He's now writing a graphic novel and he's doing amazing things.
Wow.
But he spent 2 years of tuition at the wrong place, and now he's here doing what he loves and re-energizing himself and kind of launching in a different direction. And he's going to be a lot more successful at that because he loves doing it versus being miserable in a 9-to-5 cubicle job, which is where he saw himself going.
Yeah.
But for us, the gap year is it's still their formative years. You know, we aren't guidance counselors, but maybe that's a good thing. We look at things with a real world perspective of what is possible. You know, if somebody says, we had one guy come and say, I want to be a rock star.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, so would I.
Yeah.
But I'm not. And he said, well, I want to be a rock star. And we started talking about ways in which we could engage with him to get there. And he wasn't interested in any of that. So we always, when people come up with ideas like that, we look, all right, what's plan B? That's great. Have the dream. Aim to be a rock star. We don't want to take that dream away. But while you're doing that, let's make sure that you can find a way to put a roof over your head and make money, because that's the real world. Your parents can't support you forever while you have this dream of being a rock star. Let's find a way where you can work in a record store, or you can be a sound technician or something in the industry, gaining experience, and then do gigs at night and be that rock star. So we kind of work with people on kind of sorting that stuff out.
Expand it,
and then give them a focus. So, our plan with the gap year is to take people through it, do Kickstarter, or if they don't want to do a product and they just want to really research their industry. And then at the end of the session, they come back and we'll do a pitch competition where they're going to come back and say, here's my idea. Here's what I'm going to pursue. Here's my business idea. Here's the direction I'm going to go. It might be that they finally figured out their major.
It's just great.
And then do college. And then they've had the experience of coming to Amesbury, which is where we are, experiencing what it's like to be a little bit independent, finding their focus. And then when you go to college, for me, I started out in mechanical engineering. I hated it. By the end of my third year at the University of Virginia, I was like, I cannot be the cubicle guy designing a machine part that's this small for a Boeing aircraft and doing that for 10 years. I realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. I like building big stuff, like civil engineering, dams and roads and bridges and stuff like that. I switched majors and I got a job in that career to where everything that I was doing that day in school, I was using that night in my job doing engineering. And I got a 4.0 after that.
Yeah.
Or I was struggling. But it was because I was engaged. I found the right major, but it took me 3 years to figure that out, and a lot of tuition and a lot of self-doubt, starting to question, am I smart enough to do this? Why can't I get excited about doing calculus? But when I saw, wow, if I do calculus, I can design that big dam, now I'm excited.
Right.
But that's what we want to do with the gap years, find people's focus, get them excited, and get them engaged.
That's awesome.
So we're gonna have 2 programs.
Unfortunately, we need to stop. We're out of time. But Rick, this was fantastic. Thank you so much. I think you've given a lot.
I've got a lot of kids to send your way.
Yeah, right. This is awesome.
Me too.
Awesome.
Well, we'd love it.
just to remind everybody, it's inventivelabs.org. And if you want to get a hold of Rick there, then that's the way to do it. They've got a contact form on their page, and go ahead and start asking some questions and see if this is right for you or for your child. So thank you so much for being with us today. This was really terrific.
Thank you.
Yeah, great. And if I could make a quick plug, is that I had the fortunate experience of being able to do a TEDx back in Manchester about a month and a half ago.
Nice.
It hasn't gone live yet, but it was very well received. And it was about this whole concept of finding an alternative path. So in probably a month or so, that'll be live on the TEDx website. And I think people, especially that are in this community, will get it.
Will be under your name or under?
Yes, under my name, Rick
So
Fiery.
Rick Fiery. By the time we publish this, actually, it may be live already. So make sure you keep us.
Put it right on the front page of your website. I hope.
Oh yeah, it will be. We're pushing for it. It takes a while to edit the videos, so we're getting.
Great. Well, everybody, you've been listening to yet another fantastic episode of Mighty Married Moms. We're thrilled that you were able to be here with us today. We're excited to introduce you to Rick Fiery of inventivelabs.org, and we hope that you will come back really soon and listen to another episode. Please, in the meantime, share this with your family and friends. That's how we get the word out for great information like this, and we will look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Mighty Married Moms. Tune in twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays to meet fascinating and inspiring guests who will help you create the life you've always wanted.
You can find these episodes and special gifts just for you at mightymarriedmoms.com, as well as a link to our Facebook community,
where we continue the conversation around the kitchen table. Please also help share the love by leaving a review on iTunes. We'll see you next time.